There are railways that are not just a means of transportation, but also a journey between life and death. Around the world, there are notorious railways where even the smallest mistake can cost lives. Join us to explore the 20 most dangerous railways on the planet. Not just an ordinary railway, Ka al-Hala, the suggestive name given to a railway line in Burma. This 415-meter-long railway connecting Thailand and Burma was built by the Japanese in 1933 during World War II to transport soldiers. People called it the Death Railway because of the harshness of that period. More than 600,000 prisoners were forced to work on the project, and many died. Most of them died during forced labor, when the government forced young people from all over to participate. An estimated 12,600 people lost their lives, leaving behind a bloody trail that earned it the eerie nickname Death Railway. Today, the railway has reopened, but every train that rolls along it is a reminder of the brutality of war and the terrible human price it paid. Before we go ahead, my friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you like the content. Next is the Takamori Line, Minamiaso Railway, where trains weave through majestic mountains and beautiful green fields, seemingly peaceful but hiding constant worries. You can imagine how passengers feel during earthquakes. This land suffered violent tremors in 2016 and 2019, causing many railway lines to collapse, bridges to collapse, turning the idyllic journey into a haunting memory. Trains on the railway are also considered active volcanic areas, which can be dangerous to the lives of passengers. Not only that, this place is also located right next to an active volcano, always emitting thick white smoke as a reminder that danger can strike at any time. Sitting on the train passing through Minamiaso, passengers were both overwhelmed by the natural beauty and shivered at the thought that just a sudden earthquake could cause the entire train to disappear in the heart of the raging volcano. Facing the track, I hope Cikubang Railway Bridge. This is widely known in Indonesia, but it is generally unsafe. It is one of the longest and highest iron bridges in the country, located on the route connecting Jakarta with Bandung. Sitting on the train passing through here, passengers can admire the breathtaking scenery of the mountains and endless green valleys. However, that beauty comes with an unforgettable haunting. The train has to move slowly on the towering bridge, with no protective walls on either side. Every sound of the iron wheels grinding on the rails made the hearts of those sitting inside tighten, as if even the slightest shake would be enough to send the whole train plunging into the deep abyss below. It is that fragility that makes Cikubang a breathtaking yet terrifying experience for anyone who has ever passed through. Would you dare sit on a train facing the ocean, where just one strong wind or one big wave can turn the whole train into prey for the ocean? South Africa's Outeniqua-Chujou Railway is a case in point, a railway that has been in history since 1928. Trains were once a source of pride for connecting remote areas, carrying thousands of passengers across mountains and valleys, but the journey was never safe. This route is forced across the Cayman River Bridge, a giant bridge located close to the Indian Ocean, where strong winds and fierce waves can cause the entire train to sway at any time. Just one small accident can have dire consequences when the cold, deep sea below is all there is. Therefore, despite its great significance, the railway was eventually closed, leaving behind both glorious and horrifying memories of a dangerous period. Next is the Chennai-Rameswaram Railway in India, one of the most spectacular works when it was built in 1914. The railway runs over the country's longest sea-crossing bridge, connecting two islands separated by vast ocean. The bridge could also be raised to allow ships to pass through, a design that made it an incredible engineering marvel of its time. However, such beauty and creativity came with constant danger. Rameswaram Bridge lies in the middle of the sea, exposed to storms, lightning, and even violent tornadoes that have destroyed entire trains in the past. Sitting on the rocking train in the storm, passengers can clearly feel the fragility of human beings in the face of harsh nature, where every journey is like a life or death challenge. From the storm-tossed Rameswaram Bridge in the Indian Ocean, the journey continues to the majestic Andes, where the train to the clouds in Argentina takes passengers through the sky at an altitude of more than 4,000 meters. The journey lasts up to 16 hours, taking passengers across 13 giant bridges, through misty valleys and precarious cliffs, giving a feeling of both awe and trembling. But that beauty always comes with danger. Complex geology, earthquakes, landslides, or sudden snowstorms can turn the trip into a nightmare. Beautiful to the point of being enchanting, yet also terrifying to the point of being haunting. That is the experience that the train to the clouds brings. Continuing the journey, we take you to the Georgetown Loop Railway in Colorado, USA, a historical construction built in the 19th century to connect silver mining areas between rugged mountains. This route stands out with its winding rail sections around the mountainside, curving as if to challenge all technical limits of that time. Standing from the train looking down, passengers can see the deep valley right below their feet, and in front are towering iron bridges that make the hearts of those sitting inside tremble with each shaking. It was the harshness of the terrain that forced the route to be shut down for decades. However, the Georgetown Loop has been restored, not only as a railway, but also as a historical witness, where visitors can both admire the breathtaking scenery and feel the fragility of majestic nature. Do you dare to try this journey? Leave a comment with the number 0 if you do. Imagine a train slowly crawling up a steep mountainside, just inches from the abyss. That's the Devil's Nose train in Ecuador. One of South America's most haunted railways, built in 1899 to connect two important cities. To complete this route, tens of thousands of workers had to labor in harsh conditions, facing steep mountains, deep ravines, and harsh weather. Many people lost their lives during the construction process, turning this place into a silent cemetery for unfinished dreams. The route stands out with a section of rail that clings tightly to the steep mountainside as if defying gravity, making anyone who steps on the train shiver at the overwhelming scene. Every sound of iron wheels rolling on the rails is a reminder of the exchange of blood and life, making the Devil's Nose not only a transportation project, but also a tragic symbol of Ecuador's history. Leaving Ecuador with its dangerous Devil's Nose, we come to Pakistan, where the Husseini Bridge is known as one of the scariest bridges on the planet, where the boundary between humans and the abyss is as fragile as a few broken wooden planks. In contrast to the dangers of suspension railways, the Husseini Bridge in Pakistan instills fear in a different way, slow, silent, and breathtakingly creepy. Crossing the icy Hunza River, this bridge is nearly 200 meters long, but is only made of fragile wooden planks, many of which are rotten and missing sections. The rusty cables trembled in the wind, making every step a gamble of life and death. Local people, for the sake of daily life, are still forced to cross it every day, while tourists just need to look down into the deep abyss below to tremble. The Husseini is not just a means of transportation, but also a symbol of daring, where man must face his most primal fears head-on. While Husseini instills fear with its decay and fragility, the Trift suspension bridge in Switzerland makes the hearts of those who cross it ache with its terrifying height and precariousness. Lying across the Trift Glacier Valley, the bridge is longer than 560 feet, suspended at a height of nearly 330 feet, like a slender thread connecting two giant cliffs. The cold wind from the snow blew across, causing the bridge to shake violently, creating the feeling of being suspended in endless space. Although the surrounding landscape is stunning with its emerald green lake and majestic snow-capped mountains, the haunting sight of looking down into the deep abyss below makes many visitors gasp, even giving up halfway. The Triff Suspension Bridge is thus both a wonder and a nightmare for the faint of heart. Continue, if given a choice. Would you bravely walk across or stop before a 450-foot-long bridge suspended in the middle of a deep green valley? It's the Capilano Suspension Bridge in Canada, where the fear of heights meets the fascination of the landscape to create an experience that's both heart-stopping and captivating. More than 450 feet long and suspended nearly 230 feet above the ground, this fragile bridge spans the Capilano Canyon, where the deep blue river rushes below. Every step on the narrow bridge is accompanied by violent shaking, making visitors feel like they are stepping into an invisible trap of nature. The sound of the wind whistling, the creaking of wood, and the shade of the trees added to the eerie atmosphere. Considered a famous destination in Vancouver, where millions of people have challenged themselves, Capilano still continuously sows in the hearts of travelers a trembling both enchanting and unforgettable. In contrast to the gloom of Capilano in the Canadian jungle, the Ojuela Suspension Bridge in Mexico brings a creepy feeling amid the desolate landscape of an abandoned mining town. The bridge is more than 1,000 feet long, suspended at a height of about 360 feet, and was built in the 19th century to serve gold and silver mining. Now that the mine has ceased operations, the rusty cables and old planks of Ojuela are symbols of a bygone era, but also leave a haunting impression on those who pass through, as if they are wandering into a ghostly land. The desert wind howling through the canyons, the creaking of wood, and the desolate landscape made the journey a nerve-wracking experience. Ojuela is not just a bridge, but also a reminder of human fragility before nature and time. After the desolate landscape of Ojuela, the Aiguille du Midi Bridge in France opens another chapter. Overwhelming, harsh, and haunting. Located in the Alps, at an altitude of more than 12,600 feet above sea level, this small bridge seems to hang in the sky, surrounded by snow-capped mountains and deep abysses. As the cold wind whipped against my face, the bridge shook with each step, making my steps heavy and shaky. Visitors passing through feel as if they are entering a fragile path leading straight to the sky, where even a strong wind is enough to make the heart ache. The majestic beauty of Mont Blanc stretches as far as the eye can see, but it's the awe that comes from looking down into the endless void below that makes the Aiguille du Midi such a mesmerizing and haunting experience. If Aiguille du Midi brings a feeling of being overwhelmed in the white snow, the Kandinsky Suspension Bridge in Russia instills fear with its unbelievable fragility. About 180 feet long and less than 2 feet wide, the bridge is made of old wooden planks, many of which have broken off, revealing a dark void underneath. There is no protective railing, just a few rusty iron wires loosely stretched, making anyone who steps on it feel their heartbeat faster. The Siberian wind howled, making the whole bridge shake. The creaking sound of the wood seemed to warn of the end that awaited ahead. Locals were once forced to use it to cross the river, but for tourists, just one look down is enough to send shivers down their spines. Kwandinsky is therefore not simply a bridge, but a nightmare suspended in the harsh nature of Russia. Unlike the fragility of Kwandinsky Bridge, McMurdo Station in Antarctica is haunted by its extreme cold. This is one of the few airports in the world with a runway made entirely of ice and snow, stretching thousands of feet across the white ice. As the plane landed, the landing gears screeched on the slippery ice, making passengers feel as if the entire plane was sliding toward an invisible abyss. Temperatures regularly drop below -50°C. Winds blow fiercely, and blizzards can strike at any time, turning the runway into a cold mirror filled with death. Pilots must have absolute precision, because just one small mistake can cost the entire flight. McMurdo is therefore not only an airport but also a life and death challenge in the land at the end of the world. Escaping the bitter cold of McMurdo is not the end, because in Greenland, Narsarsuaq Airport also challenges pilots with high mountains surrounding and sudden winds that can knock a flight off course. Located in a narrow valley surrounded by steep mountains, the runway here is less than 6,000 feet long, making takeoff and landing a stressful challenge for any pilot. Not only is Narsarsuaq short and rugged, it is also frequently shrouded in thick fog, sudden strong winds, and even giant icebergs moving offshore, threatening the flight path. The pilot had to skillfully navigate through the rugged mountains before landing on the small runway, while the passengers inside could not stop their pounding hearts. With such harshness, Narsarsuaq is known as one of the most terrifying airports in the Arctic, where every flight is a life or death bet. Leaving the deadly valley of Narsarsuaq, the journey takes us to Donegal, an airport located close to the Irish coast, where fierce Atlantic winds turn romantic beauty into a nightmare. Situated right on the Atlantic coast, Donegal's runway stretches like a thin line between blue sea and wind-whipped cliffs. As the plane approached, Passengers could see white foaming waves right under the wings, while strong winds from the ocean hit the fuselage, causing it to rock violently. Even experienced pilots have to be on edge every second to maintain balance, because just one small deviation can end the entire flight in tragedy. Donegal is therefore not only a beautiful airport, but also a place where beauty blends with haunting, leaving an unforgettable experience for anyone who passes through. Unlike the windy coastal runways of Donegal, the Yukon White Pass Railway in Alaska, USA takes fear to a whole different level, a journey on tracks that cling to snow-capped mountain slopes. In contrast to the familiar daily roads, Babur D915 in Turkey opens up like a nightmare in the middle of wild mountains and forests. This 100 kilometers plus road is carved into the rugged Pontic Mountains, featuring 29 hairpin bends at the Soganla Pass, where one slip could send you plummeting into a deep abyss. The road surface is rough, mostly gravel, and so narrow that at times only one car can pass. In winter, the snow covers everything, making every step a gamble, and in summer, thick dust obscures visibility. Locals call it the road that tests courage, while tourists come to experience the feeling of walking between life and death. Babur D915 is not only a route, but also an unforgettable obsession for anyone who has ever set foot on the road and wanted to challenge their own courage. Meanwhile, Taroko Gorge Highway in Taiwan brings a whole other challenge, both fascinating and terrifying. This 90 kilometers plus road cuts through the marble Taroko Gorge, skirting sheer cliffs and spanning deep ravines where the Liwu River foams below. Narrow roads, sharp turns, and obstructed vision make drivers feel suffocated, especially when some sections have no protective barriers at all. During the rainy season, the risk of falling rocks and landslides makes the trip seem like a gamble with death. Kotahi is not just a road, but a journey that tests the will and courage of anyone. Not stopping there, the James Dalton Highway in Alaska, USA, is one of the most extreme icy challenges in the world. This 400-mile route stretches from Fairbanks to the Arctic Circle, crossing wind-swept hills, glaciers, and frozen tundra. The road surface is mainly gravel and rough asphalt, covered with ice and snow in winter and muddy in summer, turning every journey into a struggle with nature. The road has virtually no rest stops or rescue services, while winter temperatures can drop below -30 degrees Celsius and strong winds can cause heavy trucks to sway. People call Dalton the Lonely Road because of its desolation, where if your car breaks down on the road, you only have experience and the will to survive.